We're bringing 5.9s back, baby. What up guys, Eric here from Racing Ram Fam, and today we are back working on the 5.9 Magnum, the twin turbo project engine build. Today video we are going to be installing all the oil gallery plugs and frost plugs on this engine that we have right here, because if you guys saw in my last video, we stripped this engine down to a complete bare block. We cleaned it and we have made it into this short block. If you guys want to check that video out, it'll be right here. So yes, today we are going to be installing all the oil gallery plugs, all the frost plugs back into this engine. What we will need today in this video, of course, is a frost plug kit. This one is a Federal Mughal frost plug kit for the 5.9, part number right there. The other thing you will need too is some of this guy right here, a forma gasket for the outsides of the frost plugs, and then a bunch of sockets to hammer in the frost plugs, a couple Allen sockets to tighten some of that oil gallery plugs, and that's about it. So we are just going to dig right into today's video. We are going to open up this package and we are going to start with the two front oil gallery plugs. So what are all these plugs? Why does the motor have all these oil gallery plugs, all these frost plugs, all this stuff? Oil gallery plugs. When they built the block, they have to drill out all these oil galleries. So these two front ones right here are actually for all the lifters that go through the motor. And actually what they did is they drilled it out from the back here all the way through to the front. So we have to plug those off because we don't want oil coming out of those, because that's where all our actual high pressure oil is, feeding the lifters, feeding the cam bearings, feeding the crank. We have lots of different oil galleries that are under pressure that they had to drill out when they were building the block. So these are the plugs after they were done machining it, so the oil doesn't spill out of them. And then frost plugs for the cooling system. It was when they actually cast the motor to get the casting sand out of the inside of the block. They had to find a way of draining it out, so they had these plugs installed. So again, you need those plugs in there so you don't have coolant coming out everywhere. But I'm going to show you how to do it with simple sockets. You can buy frost plug installers. They make it a lot easier to do. But the normal guy probably doesn't have a frost plug installer, so I'll show you how to use sockets to install all these guys. So the first thing we are going to start with is our two lifter oil galleries right here in the front of the engine. These two guys are the two smallest frost plugs we have in our bag. This little guy right here, which is a 1932nd plug, that will be hammered into here. So the first thing we are going to do is make sure these are nice and clean and somewhat dry. You do not want to hammer these in too far. Flush is good enough. The first thing we are going to do is actually dig a socket out. So you do not want to find a socket that fits snugly inside this. You want to find a socket that's actually kind of loose in this. Not too loose, but loose enough, because these actually compress when you hammer them in. And that's how they stick in there. So the first thing I am going to do is actually put the socket on here. We're going to take a little forma gasket, not too much. We're going to use just a little bit around the edges of it. Ooh, forma gasket. So I'm pretty much going to blot the edges on it. You don't want to use too much of this stuff, because after we got some on the perimeter of it, we are going to spread that out a little bit here. And just like that, we have forma gasket all the way around it. Not too much, not too little. And the first thing we are going to do is line this guy up. And then when you're tapping this in, you got to make sure it's going in perfectly straight. That's the one nice thing about a frost plug installer, is it has an actual end on it. Just like that, we got one installed. So now we gotta do the other one. Same thing we did before. Take the little guy out of here. I am using an 8mm socket if you were wondering. Little tap-a-rooney, hoop drip. Same thing, line it up. Smacking it in. And just like that, guys, we got those two front oil gallery plugs hammered in. So now we're going to go onto the back of the engine. So now that we're on the back of the engine, you can already see there's one already installed right here. This is actually the camshaft frost plug that goes on the back. This guy's already hammered in. What's really weird is these sets actually don't come with this guy. They come with this thing, which I don't, like maybe? I don't know. But I actually had to go to Chrysler to pick up this guy right here, which was only like $3. So I don't know if a different frost plug oil gallery set has some other ones too, but I don't know. So then you can see the two oil gallery plugs back here. There's actually two right here in this single hole. There's a smaller one that goes on the inside, and then the bigger one that goes on the outside, and this one's only a single one. So you dig in a box of stuff, or a bag of stuff. We have 3 actual pipe fitting plugs that are Allen heads. The big guy is this guy out here, and then the 2 little guys are actually for the oil gallery itself. One goes right here, one goes inside of here. So the first thing we are going to do is actually put Teflon tape on these 2 guys. Grab our Teflon tape here. When you are Teflon taping, there is a certain way you're supposed to wrap these. So this is righty-tighty. We want the piece to end like that. So when we start it, we're actually going to start it the wrong way. And wrap it around. When I am doing it, make sure that you are not wrapping the actual bottom that goes into the oil system, because we are actually going to trim the top of this after we're done to make sure there's really no Teflon tape in our oiling system. And just like that, we have it wrapped. So this side is the Allen side. As you can see, it's covered in Teflon tape. And this side is the actual side that pokes into the oil gallery. So it goes this way. So now what we're going to take is actually a razor blade, and we're going to cut this nicely on the top thread, so we don't have any of this Teflon tape in our oiling system. Extra shit out of the way, extra stuff out of the way. And just like that, we have a nice taped plug that doesn't have any extra Teflon tape on the inside or outside of it. And this one we're going to actually use for the one that goes inside of this guy right here. And we're going to feed this guy inside this hole right here into the oil gallery, because the distributor is right here. That's why they have it. I don't know if you guys can see much better right there, where the actual oil gallery plug goes inside the motor. Click, click. And just like that, we have our first oil gallery pipe fitting in. So now we're going to do the other one. These ones we don't have to trim because they are on the outside of the block, so it doesn't really matter if there's excess Teflon tape on the side that you're actually tightening. Again, make sure you don't get any on the inside. Couple other spots that have oil gallery plugs that they did not send in the package is right there and right there. Again, those are just both drilled out for oil passages. Alright, so now that we got all of our oil gallery plugs done, we have this guy right here and this guy right here also. I thought there was a divider one for this oil jacket, but there is not. I shined my light up through there. I've had this engine apart a lot of times, so still trying to keep track of everything, but we are now going to be doing frost plugs on the side of the motor right here. And just like the oil gallery plugs, we are going to be doing the same thing with the socket. So that we got our oil gallery plug right here. We're gonna take our former gasket and do the same thing that we did with the oil gallery floss plug on the front side. And our socket that kind of fits. You don't want it snug again because these do collapse when you are hammering them in. And just like that, we got that one in. So now we gotta bang in 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 2 on the back side. I think there's 2 on the front, and there's 3 more on that side. So 3, 6, 8, 12. Total of 12 frost plugs that we have to hammer in. So I'm gonna go around and just start banging all these in. And just like that, guys, we got all the frost plugs, all the oil gallery plugs, all the oil gallery pipe fittings installed into our 5.9 Magnum. The only ones we do not have installed right now are the frost plugs back here, right there, and right there. First of all, they sent me the wrong size. One of them's right, one's 1 5/8", which is the correct diameter. The other one is 1 5/8" again, and I need another 1 1/4", so I don't know if that was a packaging issue or what, but it is wrong one. One is 1 5/8" and one is 1 1/4". But we got all our plugs installed, again, besides these back ones, our pipe fittings, our frost plugs on the side over here, our front frost plugs, because there's an 1 1/4" one right there, and an 1 5/8" one right there. Alright guys, I hope you liked that video of installing all the oil gallery plugs and frost plugs into my 5.9 engine. More videos to come. The next thing we're going to do is put this big bumpy camshaft in with the timing and show you how to degree a camshaft in, or just install it straight up. I haven't decided yet. But yes guys, stay tuned for the build. The twin turbos are chilling right over here. The GT35s. If you guys have not checked out those older videos, the playlist will be right here and at the end of the video to check out, with all the twin turbo 5.9 build stuff going on. The headers, the turbos, the engine, lots of stuff going on. I think I figured out the car that we're going to use, but we'll have to stay. But you guys will have to stay tuned to figure that out. But thank you guys for watching. As always, keep it boosted, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.